I like video games. Surprise, surprise. And I assume most of you watching them like them as well. So why do we like video games? What's the appeal? I mean, I don't know about you, but I can spend a debatably long time on video games, so they must be doing something right, so what is it? Well, that's a pretty broad question to answer. I mean, there are so many games to take into account, so let's shrink that question down to a genre, in this case, roguelikes. Why are roguelikes fun to play? What makes each game a good experience? Well, in general, I feel like most of the games have similar answers to this question, including the graphics, the plot, the gameplay, the music, etc. However, most of the time, each one has its own special traits that they add to the table to really make them shine. Each one has some kind of unique gimmick or mechanic or style that makes the game a fantastic experience in its own right while also being an outstanding roguelike. These traits are extremely varied and interesting, but one specific trait of one specific game was very interesting. Not because it was anything very genre-breaking, in fact the trait isn't even specific to this game, it's present in many other roguelikes. However, the way this game executes it is so interesting and so impressive that it makes this otherwise common theme a unique and captivating trait on its own. The Binding of Isaac Rebirth makes the common theme of items into its own unique and game-defining trait, and here's how. So, The Binding of Isaac Rebirth. The phenomenal successor to the original Binding of Isaac, this game was one of the biggest hits in its genre, and for good reason. Its great story, graphics, music, gameplay, and many other factors led to making the game the gem that it still is today. So much so that I could probably just go on and on about all the details of the game's successes. But for this video, I want to focus on one important detail that really made this game shine: its items. Now, you may be asking, but wait, items? How are those unique or impressive? I mean, items weren't really anything new at the time of this game's release. In fact, many of the game's predecessors had already implemented items into their games, so why would I want to praise The Binding of Isaac Rebirth because of its items? Well, because it did something very interesting with its items. It made the game about the items. What I mean by this is, so much of the fun of the gameplay can be derived from its items that the items are synonymous with the game itself. So much of the enjoyment of the game stems from its items. Now, obviously, I don't mean this is the only reason the game is good. As I said before, there are so many reasons that it would take way too much time to cover them all, but items are definitely one of the key pieces to the success of the game. So, what about the items makes them so special? Well, the items are so numerous, so well implemented, so unique, and so creative that they are their own unique trait to the game. Normally in a roguelike, items simply serve as a way to get your character stronger as you traverse, whether it be health or damage or speed upgrades. Isaac's items do this, but in a very fun and creative way. Many of the items in Binding of Isaac are so much more than just stat upgrades. They have all kinds of fun and unique effects in your characters. Some make you shoot blood lasers, others turn you into Bobo the Clown, and still others make you poop. The items in Isaac serve the purpose of making you stronger, but are so just wacky and diverse that much of the time spent on the game is just playing around with the items. You do get stronger as you traverse, but you also just delve farther and farther into craziness. It's near impossible to tell what kind of build you will end up with every run, as everything is so unpredictable. The items are just all over the place. And with 341 unique items, or 547 with the Afterbirth Plus DLC, there are a lot of unpredictable items. And to make things even more crazy and unpredictable, there's also a little thing called item combos. What I mean by item combos is often item effects will react to the effects of other items, creating just ridiculous results. Giant exploding bomb tiers, homing blood lasers, whatever this is. The possibilities are endless, which is fitting as the game itself is endless. This zany nature of items and their effects perfectly combats the inherent monotony that roguelikes like Isaac have, as you're replaying the same game over and over and over. But with Isaac, it's like playing a brand new game every single run, as you just make crazy item builds and clear through floors in comical fashion. The game doesn't get too old because there is no old to expect. What happens when I mix this and this, or this and that, or that and this? Who knows? Go try it. I don't know the exact math of the number of combos possible, but since there is no limit to how many passive items you can hold, there's like, multiply the x, divide by pi, take out the cosine, at least a bajillion combos possible in best estimate. Another feature of items that makes them so enjoyable and unpredictable is the random way they are presented. Every time you are presented the chance to get an item, it can be any random item, save for items exclusive to their area item pool. Every time I walk into an item room or beat a boss or the likes, I'm welcomed with any random item that I'll just throw onto whatever I have and see what happens. I know that lots of roguelikes administer their items like this, but Isaac truly has random items. There are no item classes or tiers, and aside from the difference in passive and active items and a few area restricted items, any item you have unlocked can be gotten at any time you have the chance to get an item. And even though there are some items you'll find that are just not super good, often intentionally, most every time you're presented an item and pick it up, it adds a world of crazy to whatever build you have. I even enjoy some of the not as fabulous items simply because I'm curious as to what combo I can make with them. Sometimes I make nearly unplayable runs just for the fun of the challenge. With the number of items at your disposal, the sky is the limit to what you can make and enjoy. This is what I think is really notable about Isaac, this emphasis on the fun and wackiness of items. The game took such a common feature as items and made it unique and game-defining. Never before have I seen a game utilize items in the way Isaac does. There's just so much creativity oozing out of each one. And since the game is definitely not worried about its score, there are so many just crazy and funny effects the items can have. I feel like this is really what, at least in my case, made me think like, yep, good old Isaac. And what is really memorable about the game. Don't get me wrong, it had plenty of other awesome things going for it, such as the awesome visuals, cool Zelda-like top-down dungeon style, and a great story, but what I feel like really helped this game stand out so much was its use of its items, which is so odd to me, because items are so common to roguelikes that it baffles me that Isaac managed to take this and make it a unique trait. The amount of creativity and thought poured into each item is obscene, and all the item combos are so fun, it's all just a blast to experience, and can keep me on the game for hours at a time. The Binding of Isaac Rebirth was an exceptional game due to a variety of reasons, but one of the biggest ones that stood out to me was its items. They are so well implemented and focused in the game that you could say the game is about the items. There's just so much creativity and ingenuity here that it blows my mind that Edmund and his team were able to come up with so many different unique items for the game. It's astonishing. Even though the game isn't perfect, no game is, Isaac is one of my favorite games of all time, in large part due to its items. But what do you think? What was your experience with the items, and were they that prominent to you? And actually, I'd love to see all the best item combos you have in the comments. Like, whatever crazy builds you stumbled upon, please drop them in the comments. It would be fun to see all the ways everybody's had fun with this, and maybe I'll get some ideas for later. Just please don't make it crash my PC. I've seen it happen. It happens. I'd rather not happen. Or do it, though, because, I don't know, now that I'm saying that, it does sound kind of cool to just, like, push the limits like that. Like a challenge. I don't know, whatever. You know what, sure, just throw in the Game Breaking Ones too, rip my computer, go ham with it. Well, yeah, just whatever combos you have. If it breaks my computer, bonus points at this point. And also, of course, I hope you enjoyed the video and have a wonderful day. I'm gonna go prep my PC now. See ya.